Alright, before we get into this video, I want to start by saying the source material. I couldn't find any. I looked. My source material is this guy's YouTube video. I looked in his description, there was no source material. I went through the comment section, there was no source material. I tried Googling it myself. I could find the source material on the guy actually being arrested for the bump stock, but I cannot find new source material talking about the case itself. So this might be totally untrue or unfounded. I'm assuming the guy who made the video has some sort of source material that he just decided not to share. So we're going to have to go off the assumption that what he said is true. So what's going on here? Alright, so one of the first people to get arrested for bump stocks, there was 4 charges total. When they went to court, allegedly, Dan O'Kelly, who's just been a monster in the firearms community, because typically, the ATF goes into the courtroom, the judge doesn't know much about firearms, the jury doesn't know much about firearms. Well, here's an agency that was put in place literally to regulate firearms. They don't actually regulate themselves, they enforce the laws. So I'd almost call it like an enforcement agency. They come in and they say, this. And how are you going to argue with that? Even if you're like, no, that's not true, or no, it's this way. They are literally the authority on the topic. Chances are, most juries and or judges will just default to what the ATF says because they're the experts. Along comes Dan O'Kelly, an ex-ATF agent, starts testifying as a pro-witness. Like, no, this is not the way it is. This is written incorrectly. This charge is BS. This is what it says. And because he is also an authority on the topic, now there's opposing opinions. They're not just juggernauting through court cases unopposed, because how can you? They're literally the authority on the topic. How can you argue with authority on the topic? So the ATF has been able to just have free reign until Dan O'Kelly comes along and starts testifying on the defendant's behalfs. Anywho, the ATF found out that the guy that they're going to charge for the very first bump stock case, Dan O'Kelly was going to testify on his behalf that no, that is not a machine gun. It doesn't even fire projectiles. That is an accessory. This agency is designed for alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Not alcohol, tobacco, firearms, accessories, and everything else. No, that's their job. These 3 things. They do not have any say at all whatsoever in the accessory market. Not to mention, that does not meet the definition of a machine gun. How can it possibly be a machine gun? There is no way, no physical way, you can even harm somebody with a bump stock. That is not a machine gun. So, the DA backs out. Now that is not a win. I know you want to feel like it's a win and it feels great. That is not a win. What would have been a win is if that would have actually went through trial and they would have ruled in favor of the defendant and said, no, that is not a machine gun. Because now you got precedent and you can start moving along. However, if Dan O'Kelly continues to testify at all these bump stock court hearings, we just might get that reversed. And the bump stock was dangerous because that was the ATF's first real dive into accessories. As you notice, now they followed up with, say, I don't know, pistol braces, solvent traps. They even hit that one guy for the portable wall hanger. That's not even a drop-in auto sear. It still needs to be modified. Again, we'll have to see how this all plays out. But what should we take away from this? Number 1, slide fire solutions. Jeremiah, especially, if this all gets pushed away, they might try to come back into existence, and you can absolutely not let that happen. Especially Jeremiah, if you ever see him a part of any business, that business needs to be shunned. He needs to be pushed as far away from the Second Amendment community as possible. So how did this company, more specifically Jeremiah, handle what was happening with bump stocks? Well, what he decided to do, as soon as word came down that, hey, something might be happening with bump stocks, he immediately pulled all of his inventory from the distributors. Why does that matter? Well, it would come in from a distributor, $60, $70, something like that. It would wind up in the store, and then you'd throw a markup on it, and it would go to the customer. Well, that was not good enough for Jeremiah. So he pulled all of his inventory from the distributors, started selling direct to customers long before there was anything. It was just rumor at this point that something might happen with bump stocks. And at that time, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. He's about to go through some hardcore court cases. He's just trying to make a little bit of extra money for the company. This way, the company has more money, more financially stable to help fight this case. No, that's not what he did at all. As soon as push came to shove where he would have actually started having to go to court to fight for the product he's been selling to American citizens for 10 years? I can't imagine how many yachts he bought. As soon as that fight came up, shut the company down, turned over all of his stock to the ATF, and just walked away with a big old fat paycheck. Once he inflated his pockets enough, got his last little bit of money, didn't fight for the stocks, even though that was his product that he should have been defending, and millions of Americans became felons literally overnight. Nope, didn't do a thing about it. I mean, let's just take a look at if you try to call the phone number if you don't believe me.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error...
Or, what's going on with the Facebook page? Oh, there hasn't been a post since the rumor came out that a bump stock ban might be coming along. Literally took the media from that as a marketing tool. And then when he should have been fighting, or should have been doing something positive with that money, no, just disappeared. Peace, I'm out, I got your money, and then there's really no more point for me to talk to you. So yeah, that's the biggest takeaway from all of this, because if things keep going in the direction they are, bump stocks will become legal again. The ATF will decide that no, they don't have authority over accessories, or at least a federal court will. They might try to revamp the company because the website's still there, it's just shut down. So he could turn it back on and start selling bump stocks again. Do not let that happen. You think he's going to do anything different the second time around when it's his opportunity to fight for the Second Amendment? No, he'll just abandon us. Actually, that was about all I wanted to really press on. This guy right here is a monster. Don't let him weasel his way back into the firearm community. Don't let this company get reformed. Let some other company get reformed. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't buy what the actual link is for, I have a little kickback for it because you went there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.